of unity and diversity that was already reflected through the existence of strong federating regional system, a unitary system of government was inadvertently foisted by the country. The military do not know anything other than centralized command and control. So anytime they have a problem, they think the best solution is to centralize everything, have a chain of command and have one big man at the top. And this is what we are all suffering. Not only in political life, but you will see in everything in our lives we have become over-militarized. And there's a tendency to have centralized command and control in every organization. And we moved from 3 regions in 1960 to 4 in 1963, I think. The Midwest region was created out of the West, mostly for political reasons, because the Williams Commission had studied the problem of minorities in Nigeria and recommended that no new states should be created. Because Williams and his team correctly foresaw that when you create new states or new regions, the former minorities become new majorities that oppress newer minorities. So where do you stop? And we have seen this continue over and over. We moved from 4 to 12 to 19 to 30, and now we're in 36. And states that were not ordinarily viable were continuously being created by the military to divide and rule as well as gain legitimacy. But what these states have done was nothing more than subdivide units of administration and squander resources. Because each state comes with a full complement of governor, deputy governor, 15 commissioners, ministries, House of Assembly, and this all cost money that could have been used to develop the societies in which we live. Even as we speak today, though only a handful of states, in fact only 4 states in Nigeria are viable, in the sense that they generate enough internal revenue to be able to pay their salaries. Not to do anything else, just pay salaries. Only 4 states are viable. Some people are still saying we should create more states and local governments. These are misplaced priorities. My third question is, where are we? Where are we today? I've tried to give you the history for you to understand where we're coming from and some of the things that I believe we've done wrong. And now where are we? After many years of military rule of all kinds, some benevolent dictatorships and some brutal that even went around killing women on the streets of Lagos. In 1999, we finally had a civilian government. After a long stay of military in power, our hopes were rekindled that will eventually harness the gates of democratic governance to attain greatness as a country. Economic reforms were introduced to make the private sector the engine of growth. Some of us that participated in government in various capacities, at least in the first 8 years of the current democratic dispensation, could attest to the fact that there were genuine plans and intentions to turn the country around to attain remarkable development. The gains of reforms were quite noticeable in some areas. We got our debts written off. The foreign debt of 30 billion, we got that written off. There were major strides in the telecommunications sector. And there was some effort in making Abuja a model city, which became a template for states like Lagos, Rivers, and Cross River states. So there was some movement, and some foundations were laid. Our sense of unity in diversity was again being reawakened. And I'd like to share this story with you. If you reflect on Obasanjo's administration, you will notice one thing about that administration. The most influential members of the administration were not Yorubas. Even though Obasanjo is Yoruba, he looks like one. He speaks like one. And his name sounds very Yoruba. But in Obasanjo's first term, the 5 most important officials, in my opinion, you may disagree, were General T.Y. Danjuma, Adamu Chiroma, Minister of Finance, General Abdullahi Mohammed, Chief of Staff, General Ali Gusau, NSA. And Atiku is elected. He has to be influential, at least to an extent. But I'm just looking at the appointed officials. Maybe Tony Aneni. When I shared this with President Obasanjo, he said, yeah, you got 4 right, but you got 1 wrong. I don't know which one wrong. I suspect it's Tony Aneni. Now, step forward into Obasanjo's 2nd term. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Obi Ezekwesili, Abdullahi Mohammed is still there, Chief of Staff. Nuri Badu would be one. I guess I could be one of those. What is amazing about Obasanjo, no matter what you say about him, was that there wasn't a single Yoruba man that you could say had overbearing influence on Obasanjo. Now fast forward to the Yar'Adua regime. Yar'Adua did not trust or believe in anyone except if he is from Katsina or close by from Kano. So if you look at the cycle around Yar'Adua, you will find that it consisted mostly of people from Katsina and 1 or 2 Kano people. And I think that's when the problem began, because Goodluck Jonathan as vice president saw that as a model of government. And around Jonathan now, Chief of Staff, and everyone is Joe, except if there is some mistake. Now, this is a telling story, and I like to share this with people that think that having someone from your backyard as president makes a difference. It doesn't. It is having someone that can work for everyone that can make a difference. And the problem that where we are today, as I said, started with the Yar'Adua regime. Because our government and party made the mistake of picking someone who never knew anything outside of Katsina and brought him to Abuja to be president. And got someone who has never been outside Bayelsa and brought him to Abuja to be vice president. But I would like to say that in the Obasanjo administration, to a large extent, our sense of unity and in diversity was again awakened. There were agitations by some ethnic nationalities, particularly the environmentally devastated regions, communities of the Niger Delta. But on the whole, I don't think anyone accused Obasanjo of being sectional, tribalistic, or preferred Christians over Muslims, and vice versa. I think Obasanjo was an equal opportunity good man or bad man. If he likes you, it does not matter where you come from. If he doesn't like you, it does not matter where you come from. A friend of mine yesterday said, you are wrong. Obasanjo is incapable of liking a person, but he can respect that person. I don't agree. I think Obasanjo truly liked me and still does. We understand each other. But one major challenge that has continuously stared this nation in the face is corruption. The Obasanjo regime tried to tackle corruption. It set the pace by establishing 2 anti-corruption agencies, the ICPC and the EFCC. It is true that the objectives were not always met, but it was nonetheless a good beginning, as everyone had lost confidence in the police and the justice system to fight corruption. The little impact made by the anti-corruption agencies were frittered away under the Yar'Adua Jonathan regime that succeeded us in office. Corruption became a menace, like the proverbial tail that wags the dog. Instead of the agencies to knock off corruption, they became willing tools of the executive branch to silence voices of dissent and opposition, while clearly corrupt people in government and their families were left to walk around with a swagger. Examples are too many to mention. But I would like to recommend to you, ladies and gentlemen, the latest Human Rights Watch report titled Corruption on Trial in Nigeria, which was published on Thursday, just 2 days ago. You can go to the Human Rights Watch website and you can download it. It's a 70-page report, but it is very interesting because they analyze the activities of the EFCC and awarded it a complete failure in virtually every department. But right from 2003, from our time, we thought it was even working then. It seems that it was not working even then. To worsen matters, the 2011 elections added a new dimension to the challenges threatening the survival of the country. Now, I have tried to lay the foundation of how it all happened. And I think the slide began with the Yar'Adua administration, and Jonathan continued along the same lines, just reversing the actors from Katsina provincialism to Ijo provincialism. And then we had elections in 2011, and all kinds of primordial sentiments came into play. All of a sudden, the issue was not who was the best candidate that could take Nigeria to the next level, but which part of the country he comes from or which religion he practices. And all sides were guilty. I went to mosque in Kaduna one day for Friday prayers, and before the Friday prayers, the Imam was preaching that, you know, this election is a war between Islam and other religions. So you must not vote for anyone who is not Muslim. So after the prayers, I went to him. I said, why were you saying that? He said, well, you know this, you know, all the churches are preaching that you should vote for Christians. I said, even if all the churches are preaching, two wrongs do not make a right. What is the basis in the Quran or in the sayings of the Holy Prophet for you to say that? You are preaching hatred. And our Holy Book says God made us all different into different nationalities and religions so that we can understand each other. But here you are, a preacher, preaching hatred. Because when you say people should not vote for the person that is more competent because of his religion, you are preaching hatred and you are going against every tenet of our religion. He was silent. I said, I hope that next week you will correct yourself because you are wrong. I went back to the mosque next week, and to be fair to him, he did correct himself and used the statement of Sheikh Usman Danfodio to get out of the hole he had dug himself into. That it is possible to govern with unbelief, but impossible to govern with injustice. That's how he used, that's the basis on which he used to reverse himself and tell people that, but I know this was going on everywhere. I went to just one mosque and confronted the Imam, but this was going on everywhere, and in the churches as well. So we all played a role in dividing our country. The zoning debate added to it, and the actions and statements of political actors exacerbated the situation. Because anywhere they went campaigning, they used whatever it took to gain advantage. So when they come down south, they will say, you know, these northerners have been ruling forever. And they messed up the country. So this is our chance. Jonathan is the only southerner, let's rally around him. But you know, God has designed Nigeria in a way that no one region can prevail in an electoral contest. It is almost 50-50 Muslim Christian, and no ethnic group accounts for more than 30% of the population. So we have to try to find a way either to work with one another or deceive one another. And in the 2011 elections, what happened was more like deception. So in the south, the PDP will say, you know, these northerners have been doing this. And then when they go to the north, to the Christian parts of the north, they will say, you know, these Muslim northerners have been the ones doing this. So we have to all come together with our southern Christian brothers and vote against them. And then when they go to the Muslim parts, they will say, you know, we need unity. Electing Jonathan will unite the country. And by the way, here is 3 billion naira to encourage you to think along those lines. Such that by the time we had elections, the map of Nigeria looked like this. Okay? I'm sure you're all familiar with this. And